goblins, ghouls, ghosts, witches, vampires, warlocks, paranormal activity, seances, Ouija boards, walking through a cemetery at night. These things are at the core of Halloween and are celebrated on the scariest and spookiest day of the year. They're meant to scare us and frighten us, and to a certain extent, we enjoy it. We all have a little bit of a dark side, don't we? But you know what else is scary and frightening? Having an unexpected bill pop up that needs to be paid immediately. I mean, come on, you've got your money budgeted, you're good, you feel like you've got some extra money to either go out or buy a new outfit, and then all of a sudden, boom, you get hit with this unexpected bill. Doesn't that bother you? Doesn't that scare you? Doesn't that frighten you? That, my loves, is the essence of this full moon happening in the sign of Taurus on October 31st. Let's talk about it. What's up, everybody? I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. As always, my name is Mel and welcome to my channel, Divine Feminine Works. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. This channel is everything tarot, astrology, and spirituality. So if those are the things that interest you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you'll always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, my loves, this is the full moon in Taurus video for October 31st, 2020. So we've got this full moon coming up on Saturday, on Halloween of all days, and it's a pretty special moon, not only in terms of what it signifies. I mean, all moon cycles are pretty special. They always highlight a certain part of our lives that need attention. They highlight things that we need to either remove from our lives or work on. And of course, this full moon is no exception. What makes it special, though, is that it's a blue moon because it is the second full moon that we're having in this particular month. If you remember, we had a full moon in the sign of Aries on the very first day of the month, and we close out October with another full moon in the sign of Taurus on October 31st. So you've had two opportunities this month to kind of get it together. You've had two opportunities to become aware of what needs to be eradicated out of your life, or you've had two opportunities to really see the amount of progress that you've been making over the last 6 months. So let's get into the astrology of this full moon, and then I'm going to dive into each individual each individual sign and tell you how it's going to affect you personally, along with a quick tarot message for each sign as well. So stay tuned if you want to hear all about that. So as we know, or maybe as you don't know, so let me tell you for the first time, full moons are when the moon and the sun are completely opposite. So they are 180 degrees apart. So being that we're in Scorpio season, the sun naturally is in the sign of Scorpio. This full moon happening in the sign of Taurus is exactly 180 degrees away from the sun. So the moon is in Taurus, the sun is in Scorpio, and they're both going to be at 8 degrees. 8 degrees is the Scorpio degree. So there's a lot of energy surrounding deep emotions, understanding emotions, making sense of messy emotions, and really diving deep into the truth and the heart of everything. So Scorpio is anything but superficial. Just think about some of the Scorpios that you know or that you have in your lives. They are complex. They are very interesting, perhaps a bit mysterious, and that is the essence of Scorpio. And it's the essence of Scorpio season. It's no surprise that Halloween, with all of its mystery and, scariness and all of that, is definitely a Scorpio trait. So 'tis the season, right? So we've got the sun being in Scorpio right now. And with the sun being in Scorpio, imagine like shining a huge flashlight into the bottom of the ocean, and imagine all of the stuff that you would find there. That is what we're doing consciously. A lot of us are feeling and we're processing through repressed emotions. A lot of us are sort of finding our strength and our willpower. Some of us may be dealing with resources, shared resources, in fact, because Scorpio rules shared resources, so resources that you share with others. Contrast this with Taurus. Taurus is more superficial. Not to say that people who are Taurus are superficial and have no depth. I'm saying that Taurus as a sign likes simplicity. It likes beautiful, simple things that don't get messy and don't delve under the surface. It's all about staying on the surface, looking cute, and being as simple as possible. So you've got two extremes there that we're working with this particular full moon. And one of the major themes that comes up with this full moon is the idea or the notion of collecting versus sharing. We've got Taurus on the one hand, like I said, they're very superficial, they're very material as well. Taurus is very much about material things, material goods, things that you can touch, things that you can collect. When we're thinking about the second house in the zodiac wheel, although the second house does not equate to Taurus, you can say that Taurus has a lot of second house qualities, meaning that Taurus likes to have money. Taurus likes to collect things. They like to amass physical objects. So we have that sort of collecting energy on the one hand with Taurus, and that's where the moon is. And then we've also got, on the other hand, with the sun in Scorpio, we have sharing, shared resources, things that we pool together and distribute and share among different people. So again, we've got two extremes. What makes this full moon particularly interesting and scary, very Halloween-esque, is the fact that it's going to be conjunct Uranus in the sign of Taurus. Uranus is the planet of surprise. It's the planet of radical thinking. It's the planet of upsets. And it's pretty important that it's in the sign of Taurus because, like I said, Taurus is all about simplicity. Taurus is also very stubborn, as you may know. And so to have a planet with energy that's very radical, that's very shaky, in a sign that's very stable and stubborn like Taurus can make for a lot of agitation, particularly emotionally. And if we're talking about emotions, we can't not talk about the moon because the moon is all about our emotions. So we're going to feel a little unsettled at this new moon because we've got this energy of Uranus kind of shaking things up, taking us away from the norm, upsets, surprises. So our feelings might be all over the place, especially with Uranus kind of touching that right there. And one of the key phrases for this full moon is expect the unexpected. Like I said before, Uranus is the planet of surprise. And so anything can happen. Definitely anything can happen. As far as emotions are concerned, like I was saying before, Uranus shakes things up. And so you may be feeling quite impulsive. You might just feel like making a rash decision, doing something completely out of the norm, out of the ordinary. That's very Uranistic type energy. I don't know if Uranistic is a word. I just made that up, but it sounded good, right? You can feel very impulsive. You may experience sudden upsets, particularly within relationships, close relationships. If we're talking about the moon, we're also talking about feminine energy. So there may be some sudden upsets with women in your life. We're also talking about, and this is pretty interesting, Taurus is also about comfort. When you think of comfort food, when you think of, laying in bed on a rainy Sunday, that's very Taurus-like energy. And so you may have these sudden cravings, right? You may have cravings for food. I mean, anyone who studies astrology sometimes cringes at the fact that Taurus is always associated with food. Like Taurians are they're foodies. They love food, gourmet food, all of that. And with Uranus, the planet of surprise, you may have sudden food cravings. You may have sudden cravings to sort of like curl up and go to sleep. You may be feeling a little lazy, a little lethargic, and that may be out of the ordinary for you. So that may be something else that you should expect with this full moon. Interestingly enough, the moon is actually exalted in the sign of Taurus. And all that means is that the moon is in it's like the king of the castle in Taurus. The moon loves being in Taurus. And if we're talking about the moon, we're also talking about psychic abilities. So although a lot of people may say, oh, I don't have psychic abilities, I'm not able to do that. But you may find that your psychic abilities may be heightened or they may be highlighted during this full moon, particularly with the presence of Uranus here. You may get sudden flashes of insight. Your intuition is going to be lit. You may just all of a sudden have some psychic powers and be able to read people's minds, or well, maybe not, but your powers of telepathy may be on fleek. Like, all of these things are pretty possible with this full moon. And again, like I said before, the key phrase, expect the unexpected. So if you suddenly wake up on Saturday and your ass is psychic, just be like, all right, this is part of the full moon. This is what Mel told me. So, all right, I'm good. I'm Gucci. Again, you may get flashes of insight. If you are in any situation where you don't know which way to go, your mind is sort of racing, use your intuition. Like I said, your intuition is going to be lit on this day. So definitely use that to your advantage. And again, just to reiterate, expect the unexpected. There might just be a lot of weird shit that goes on. I mean, I find that a lot of times on Halloween, weird shit happens anyway. But with this being a blue moon, a full moon, conjunct Uranus on Halloween, some real weird shit might happen. So be on the lookout for that. Now, there's also one other component of this full moon that I don't see too many people mentioning, and it's not a huge thing. It's just sort of like a footnote to this full moon. So like I said, the full moon is when the moon and the sun are in opposition. They're opposite to each other. Now, that same day, the sun, being in Scorpio, is going to be quincunx Chiron in Aries. Chiron is known as the wounded healer, and Chiron everything about Chiron is about healing yourself emotionally and using whatever wounds you have in order to help heal others. And being that it's in relation to the sun, there may be some issues that surface, right? Because if we're talking about Scorpio, we're talking about Sun in Scorpio is all about shining a flashlight on all of that deep, murky water of our emotions, right? So some of what come to light on this day may have to do with your father, as the sun typically represents your father. So this would be typical, like, quote unquote, daddy issues with male figures. Even if you don't have any of those such issues asserting yourself, issues expressing yourself, those things may also come up around this full moon. Those may be some of the emotions that you're going to be dealing with and processing around the time of this full moon, but definitely throughout Scorpio season as well. So when it comes to full moons, like I said, moon opposite the sun, the best way, it's almost like there's a tug of war. On the one end, you've got the moon in Taurus, which is all about wanting to be comfortable, indulging in great food, feeling like you want to be lazy, laid up, psychic abilities are all great, and all of that is being, agitated by Uranus. And then we've got the sun that wants to get messy. The sun in Scorpio wants to tackle and wants to get through all of that muddy water of emotions that we all carry on the inside of us. So it's like a tug of war, and they're both trying to go in different directions. But the best way to overcome this energy is to find a suitable middle ground. So if to use a very simplistic example, Taurus likes clean and simple, Scorpio likes messy and complex. Find a way to meet in the middle to sort of satisfy everybody and to sort of satisfy everything. So regardless of what comes up during this full moon that may be shocking, surprising, or what have you, find a way to balance that between, wanting to just hide under the covers and not deal with it, and delving so deep that you get yourself into some sort of emotional depression. Find a suitable middle ground and you should be able to navigate this full moon pretty well. And one last thing, sort of what I alluded to in the intro, is that we've got unexpected expenses coming up. And that's another sort of way that this full moon can play out. Taurus and Scorpio, this is the axis of money. This is the axis of resources. And with Uranus in the mix, being the planet of surprise, don't be surprised if you get an unexpected expense that comes up. If something surprising happens that requires you to pay money. Maybe your car breaks down. Maybe you've got a bill out of nowhere that just pops up that needs to be paid immediately. Those kind of things can also play out during this full moon. So be wary of that. Be mindful of that. Use the energy the best way that you can and find a suitable middle ground regardless of how it affects you, and you should be good. All right, so that's been the astrology of this full moon. Let's get into each individual sign and see how this full moon is going to affect you. All right, so of course we've got to start at the beginning. So naturally we start with Aries. Aries, this full moon in Taurus happening on Halloween is happening in your second house of money and material possessions. So remember before I was talking about an unexpected bill that may just pop up? For you guys, that's probably really the case. So full moons illuminate, right? They either show us the results of work that we've been putting in, they show us the culmination of events, or they show us what needs to be released from our lives. So as far as revealing something that needs to be released, it's probably going to have to do with a money situation for you. Perhaps this is why you may get an unexpected bill or an unexpected expense. For others of you, perhaps you've been trying to save money. Perhaps you've been trying to find different income streams. Think back to April when we had the Taurus new moon. If you implemented anything around that new moon, you may start to see the results of it by this full moon in Taurus. So keep that in mind. Otherwise, expect something having to do with money, expect something to do having with resources, acquiring those things, etc. So let's get some messages here and see what Spirit has to say for you for this new moon, Aries. I'm sorry, this full moon. Blessed. All right, this lets me know that you guys are going to be blessed with something. Those of you that have been putting in the work, those of you that have been putting in the work, maybe getting your finances under control. I feel like this full moon is going to show you something good. Might even be more than you expected. Remember, surprises aren't always a bad thing. Surprises can be really good. They can be excellent. They can be more than we expected. So I feel like some of you may get a surprise regarding money that may be better than you expected. Yeah, and we've got the Three of Wands here. Three of Wands is all about commerce. And it's all about expectation. So I feel like for you, Aries, expect the unexpected with this full moon, but expect something good. I feel like something really good is going to happen and is going to come your way. And with this being a 22, if you can see that, that is the number of stability. So I feel like those of you who have been putting in the work, those of you who have been diligent about saving money or putting your money to work for you, I feel like this full moon is going to bring a very pleasant surprise your way. All right, next up we've got Taurus. So for you, Taurus, this full moon in Taurus is happening in your first house of self. So think back to April of this year when we had the Taurus new moon. This was during your season, and typically new moons are all about setting intentions. So were there any intentions that you set, like personal, first house intentions, meaning intentions related to yourself? Maybe you wanted to change your looks. Maybe you wanted to lose weight or gain weight, work on some body goals, personal development goals. If you set any of those intentions back in April, this full moon may show you how far you've come and what results you've gained within the last 6 months. So that's how this full moon may play out for you. For others of you, this may uncover something very shocking. This also may have to do with relationships because the sun is in Scorpio, which is your 7th house of relationships. And like I said, full moons are when the moon and the sun are opposite. So there may be something shocking with respect to a relationship that you're in, something that is coming to light that may have been hidden for a long time, particularly emotions. There may be some sort of an argument where words are exchanged and someone's true feelings really come out and you had no idea that this person felt this way. That's one way that this full moon can affect you or play out for you. So keep those in mind once this full moon hits on Saturday. So let's get into the tarot and see what messages Spirit has for you. And I must say, I was shuffling the cards and getting them ready, and I'm fixing them, and they ended up falling all over the floor. And it made me think, like, I felt like for you, Taurus, there may be something that you've been trying to fix, something you've been trying to put together that is just falling apart. And again, this may have to do with the relationship. So keep that in mind. But I'm feeling like something you've tried to arrange, something you've tried to do. Again, it may have to do with your body. It may have to do with a relationship. But I feel like you've put energy into something. And I feel like this full moon may illuminate the fact that maybe the work that you've been doing isn't paying off as much as you would like, or the problem isn't fixed yet. Doesn't mean that it's the end of the world. Just means that maybe you need to try a little harder, try something different. The reason for that may also be because Mars is retrograde. So a lot of energy that we need to do things just isn't available right now. But regardless, that's how this full moon is going to play out for you. So let's get a message here. Truth be told, what was I saying about a relationship? And you see the presence of these hearts right here? I feel like some of you are going through a relationship change, and someone is about to they're about to let the cat out of the bag when it comes to their emotions and how they really feel. Like they're taking, if you notice this mask on the bottom, it's like it's masks off now. Masks coming off. True feelings are going to be put on the table. And with the presence of Uranus conjunct Taurus, conjunct the moon in Taurus, I feel like it might be emotions that are going to be expressed that are very surprising, and like deviate from the norm is also what I'm getting. But let's get one more card here. We've got 3 of Wands. Interesting. Aries got the same thing. So I feel like there's a certain amount of expectation. I feel like this message here is almost like your warning. Is like, I need you to be prepared because what you may hear may be very shocking. It may be very shocking. It may be so out in left field that you're just like, this can't be possible, but it is. And I need you to be prepared for that. That's why you're getting this message. But the best part about this is that, like I said, Scorpio season is all about shining a bright light on the murky waters of our emotions that we hold inside. And once you figure that out, once that light is shining, now you can finally deal with it from a very true and authentic place that can really bring transformation to either yourself or your relationship. So keep that in mind with whatever happens during this full moon. All right, moving right along, we get to Gemini. Gemini, this full moon in Taurus is happening in your 12th house of solitude, rest, recharging, and spirituality. So for you guys, I feel like this full moon is going to want to have you isolate. You're going to want to separate yourself from the world. You're going to want to stay in bed, have comfort food, sort of nest at home or wherever. Probably at home though, but you probably just want to isolate, and that'll be good for you because for you, Gemini, with Uranus being in your 12th house, I feel like there's a lot of emotional and mental turmoil that you may be experiencing because your thoughts and your emotions are kind of all over the place. So isolating during this full moon will really be good for you. The sun in Scorpio was actually in your 6th house of work and health. So while isolating, you may want to perhaps work on organizing. When it comes to work, maybe organizing some work stuff, maybe doing some research related to a health issue. Those are the kind of activities that you may find come up for you with this full moon. As far as something being surprising, I think it just may be a very sort of personal thing to you, as opposed to it being some sort of outside influence that surprises you or shocks you. For you guys, I think it's just mostly going to be working through your emotions, and maybe you may be shocked or surprised at what you find needs organizing and addressing. All right, so let's get a message from you from Spirit for this full moon in Taurus. We've got fork in the road. All right. I don't know if you can see that too well. But yeah, you've come to an impasse. It's like there's a certain decision that you guys need to make, particularly as it pertains to your stability. I'm hearing, especially with sixth house matters, this may be the work that you do on a daily basis. There's some sort of decision that you need to make, some sort of decision with respect to which way you want to go, which direction you want to go. And I feel like that isolating time during the full moon will really help you decide which direction you want to go in. Let's get another card here. Nine of Swords. All right, so this is stress. This has obviously been stressing you out. And the Nine of Swords is actually Mars in Gemini. So your mind is racing a mile a minute. I feel like some of you are thinking of, I'm hearing permutations, like different permutations of, okay, if I do this, then this will happen. Or maybe if I do that, that'll happen. Or maybe if I combine this, that, and the third. Your mind is overworked. No wonder this full moon is happening in your 12th house. I think that's a godsend for you. I feel like this is a great time to sort of put your mind at ease, rest, recharge. And then I feel like once the full moon has passed, I feel like then you're going to be able to decide which direction you want to go to or which actions that you want to take. All right, next up, we've got Cancer. Cancer, this full moon in Taurus is happening in your 11th house of friendship and goals. So 11th house matters, like I said, are all about friendship and goals, but it's more so how you identify as a group or as a member of a group. And this full moon is taking place between your 11th house of being social, being in a group, and your 5th house of self-expression, which is all about standing apart from the crowd. So there's a part of you that likes to just play it safe when it comes to friends, having a lot of people around you, being very social. And then there's this other part of you that you may be discovering now that may want to break away from those friend groups and offer your individually unique perspective to the world. Like share that with the world. Remember how I said Taurus and Scorpio, it's almost like the difference between collecting on the one hand with Taurus and sharing on the other hand with Scorpio. So while you collect friends, while you're very comfortable and stable being as a member of a group, having a lot of friends, associates, what have you, maybe now you're also learning that there's a part of you that needs to break away from that and a part of you that needs to share your authentic self, your personality beyond the groups that you are a part of. That is the part that you need to share with others. And I find that with this full moon, that is going to come to play. That is what your attention is going to be directed toward. And again, there may be some sort of happening that sparks this sort of dichotomy and really brings it to the forefront. So be on the lookout for that. And again, it's all about compromise. It's all about moderation. It's all about finding a suitable middle ground. So keep that in mind with this full moon. So let's get a message for you for this full moon. All right. Higher power. To me, this is saying that whatever happened and whatever is shaking your foundation right now, particularly again with the presence of Uranus conjunct this full moon in Taurus, I feel like whatever happens, know that it has to happen. Perhaps, like I was saying before, it's very hard for you to find that suitable middle ground. I feel like whatever transpires that's going to be shocking or even scary under this full moon, it's the higher power at work that's helping you or making you find a suitable middle ground. Let's get another card here. Yeah, we've got the Wheel of Fortune. It's time now. Some of you have been deeply rooted in a particular group, or deeply rooted to a certain community, a certain organization, to the point where it's almost like that's how people know you. That's where your identity lies. But now I feel like you are being forced to be your authentic self apart from this group. You're forced to face the fact that there are parts of you that probably don't gel with this group, or that make you stand out from this group, and that you need to examine and share with the world. It's time for this now. And whatever happens is meant to push you in that direction. So don't forget that when whatever happens under this full moon. All right, moving right along, we get to Leo. So Leo, this full moon in Taurus is happening in your 10th house of career and public life. So I want you to think back to April of 2020, to around the time of the Taurus new moon. That was a time when you might have set intentions, particularly as it relates to your career, your public life, things that you may have wanted to accomplish. You may have started planting those seeds back in April. So this full moon may show you your progress. It may show you the results of that work that you've been putting in for the last 6 months. And those results could be a little shocking in a good way. I feel like if you've really been putting in the work, I feel like you might just have like this double what you expected, right? So again, surprises aren't always bad. They can be a good thing. So you might be pleasantly surprised with this full moon. For others of you, remember that this full moon is basically an opposition between the moon in Taurus and the sun in Scorpio. So with this being in your 10th house and your 4th house, this is all about your public life versus your private life, your work life versus your home life. So something may happen along that axis. Something may happen at work, or something may happen at home that brings your attention to the fact that there is this tension and opposition between work and home. And whatever happens may be very surprising. Again, the best advice to work with this full moon energy is to find a suitable middle ground. Find a suitable compromise between your public life and your private life in order to have things move a bit harmoniously. So Leo, let's get into the messages and see, let's get into the tarot and see what messages Spirit has for you for this full moon. You got 2, but I'll take it. We've got the Fates, and we've got Flexible. All right, so I feel like whatever is happening obviously is going to be surprising. We already know that with the presence of Uranus here, but I feel like it's going to have you, it's going to require you to be a bit flexible. I feel like things are up in the air, and it's all by design. This isn't some random coincidence. Whatever's happening is fated, and you need to stay flexible in order. It's like you got to ride the wave of this particular energy of this new moon. So even if it's surprising, don't let whatever happens stop you in your tracks or derail you. You need to be adaptable and be flexible in order to keep moving forward, particularly if, like I said before, you set intentions around the new moon back in April, and now you're seeing the results of your work or the effort you've put in, and maybe it's not as pleasant or as pleasantly surprising as you would have liked. Maybe the surprise is that the return on your energetic investment is much lower than you originally anticipated. Be flexible because things are still in flux. Let's get another card here. Yep, we've got Knight of Pentacles. So it's like keep working at it. Keep moving forward, keep plowing that field, keep it pushing, and be flexible, because I feel like although it may be shocking that the energy you put in is not necessarily what you're getting out right now, I feel like it will pay off definitely in the future, perhaps even sooner than you think. Once Mercury and Mars station direct after having been retrograde, you might start to see more positive movement forward and more positive results from what you've been doing. So keep that in mind with this full moon. All right, moving right along, we come to the sign of Virgo. Virgo, this full moon in Taurus is happening in your 9th house of long distance travel and higher education. So for you guys, you may have an unexpected trip that pops up, or something may happen where you have to travel unexpectedly. And this travel is probably someplace pretty far or at a great distance from where you currently are. Of course, if we're talking about expenses, this might be an unexpected expense because now you have to pay to travel to wherever it is that you need to go. For others of you, it may be an unexpected legal situation because the 9th house also covers law and legal proceedings. So maybe there's an unexpected bill from your lawyer with a particular case that you're working on that may come up that may need your attention. So that may be how this full moon plays out for you guys. Also, like I said, it's this sort of dichotomy between Taurus and Scorpio, right? So that's between your 9th house and your 3rd house. So for Virgo, I feel like for some of you, there's a lot of messiness when it comes to people that are very close to you, perhaps siblings or extended family members. I feel like on the one hand, when you communicate or interact with the people that are closest to you, there may be a lot of hidden emotions, repressed emotions. It's very messy. And I feel like some of you just may want to avoid that. And it's like you'd almost rather just avoid the people that you know and just start like dealing and interacting with people who are like very different from you, definitely not related to you, people that may be at a distance from you. I feel like that may be how this plays out as well. So again, it's like you'd rather deal with people that you don't know rather than people that you do know, if that makes any sense. But for the majority of you, I feel like it has to do with travel or an unexpected legal expense or things of that nature. All right, so let's get into the tarot and see what messages Spirit has for you for this full moon. Co-create. So obviously this is getting into, and almost every sign has gotten a card that's some derivative of 4. 4 is like a huge number for this full moon. And 4 is all about stability. And if we're talking about stability, we have to talk about Taurus because Taurus is a very stable and stubborn sign. And if we're talking about stability, money definitely comes into play when it comes to that. I feel like there may be people at a distance from you because, like I said, this full moon is happening in your 9th house. So people that are foreign, people that are at a distance from you, people that are very different from you. I feel like there's stability that can be gained by working with these people, perhaps partnering with these people. Maybe that's why you have an unexpected trip. Maybe it's to work on something with someone, but I feel like there's this energy of co-creation with someone who's at a distance from you that could be beneficial to you right now. Let's get another card here. Take this one. This is the 4 of Wands. So this is like creating something abroad or creating something with someone at a distance from you brings like a happy home life here. Remember how I said it's like some of you may not even want to address the people that are closest to you because it may be messy. It may be filled with a lot of repressed emotions, repressed anger even, and you'd rather just deal with people abroad or very different from you or at a distance from you. I feel like in doing so, that would actually help your situation with the people that are closest to you, your home life, a stable home life. Even if that's not the case, I feel like partnering up with somebody will definitely be beneficial to your home life and to your bottom line. So think about that when this new moon happens. Or not even when it happens, but also in the days following this new moon. Oh, I'm also hearing that for some of you, this may be a project that you started back around the time of the new moon in April. Like, apart from just showing things that have been hidden, Full moons also show you the culmination of things that have been worked on. Particularly if you plant new seeds around the time of the new moon, you're going to start to see the results of those around the time of the full moon. So think back to 6 months ago and what you may have started, perhaps with a partner that's at a distance from you, perhaps with someone or some company overseas. This full moon might illuminate the fact that you have positive results from whatever it is that you started 6 months ago. So also think about that around this new moon, and maybe you'll get some news about that, some surprisingly good news about that on the day or shortly after the full moon. All right, next up we've got Libra. So Libra, this full moon in Taurus is happening in your 8th house of transformation, sex, and shared resources. So for you guys, this full moon is probably going to be all about money. So surprises are not always bad. You may be getting some unexpected funds, maybe from a partner or from someone else's money, right? For others of you, it may be a surprise expense that may have been incurred by a partner or incurred by someone else that directly affects you. But regardless, this full moon will most likely have to do with a money matter. So keep that in mind with whatever happens. And again, don't just think that it might be something bad. It might be something good, but again, the more surprising part about it is that it may not even be something that you've done. It may be something that has to do with your partner. Maybe your partner has incurred some money that needs to be paid immediately. For others of you, it may be a surprise issue regarding taxes, regarding a loan. Maybe a loan payment becomes accelerated and has to be due right now or upfront. Others of you may find that you're suddenly approved for a loan or approved for a mortgage. Regardless, like I said, it's going to be affecting money, but it'll probably be surprising, but I doubt it'll be that bad. So let's get into the tarot and see what message Spirit has for you this month. Well, not this month, for this full moon. I'm so used to saying for this month. Okay, let's get a card here for Libra. Okay, we've got Imagine. And we've got Loyal Heart. Okay, so this definitely has to do with a partner, shared resources. Yeah, I feel like something the two of you have been working on together. Maybe you guys had implemented, and by you guys I mean you and your partner or whoever you share resources with, maybe you guys had implemented something new or planted new seeds back in April or around that time, like around the time of the Taurus new moon. And you may see the culmination of that come this full moon. So maybe you've been saving money. Maybe you've been working on your credit, and finally at the time of this full moon, bam, you get approved for a mortgage, or you get more money, or you finally get that business loan that you needed. But it's something that y'all two have been sort of working on together that may come to a culmination under the light of this full moon. Let's get another card here. Yeah, we've got Wheel of Fortune. I feel like this is going to be a good surprise for you guys. Like it's going to be a pleasant surprise. Oh, we've also got the Seven of Swords. So I feel like something might have been... Yeah, when we see at the bottom of the deck, we've got the Three of Pentacles, which is working together. You've definitely been working together with respect to something that's going to come to a culmination. For those of you that have been doing some underhanded things, that's going to come to a culmination too, and you're not going to like that very much. But I also feel like at the same time, this is sort of like you're able to now see the truth of the matter. So even if let's say you don't get approved right away, or you don't have a very pleasant monetary surprise with this full moon, I feel like you're going to be shown the truth of the situation, which may in itself be shocking, but by knowing the truth, now you know how to move. Now you know exactly where to place your money. Now you know exactly what action steps to take in order to get the desired results you want. So I feel like ultimately, yes, this full moon is going to be positive. It may not be positive in the way that you expect, but I feel like whatever information you gain, whatever comes to light, is going to be beneficial for you in the long run in order for you to get to that yes, in order to get to that approval notice, in order to get to those extra funds. That's how I feel like this full moon is going to manifest for you guys. All right, next up we've got Scorpio. So Scorpio, this full moon in Taurus is happening in your 7th house of relationships. So I want you to think back to April, around the time of the Taurus new moon. So that would have been around mid-April. April. Were there any intentions that you had set or that you had planted, any seeds you had planted with respect to relationships? Perhaps you were single and maybe you were looking for a partner, looking for some sort of a commitment. Maybe you had a partner and you wanted the relationship to go to the next level. Perhaps this full moon may surprise you and show you exactly how far you've come. Perhaps now you're booed up. Perhaps now you're engaged or will be engaged. Maybe for some of you, you were in a relationship that was going nowhere, and maybe this full moon might eradicate this person from your life. Maybe you will suddenly find yourself single. All of these possibilities are possible under this full moon. But whatever it is, expect the unexpected. And remember that the unexpected doesn't necessarily have to be negative. It could be really positive, all right? So let's see what the tarot has to say for this full moon for you guys, Scorpio. For Scorpio, you guys, you know what I mean. All right, we've got the fates. Some of you may be meeting a soulmate. I feel like some of you may just like out of the blue. It's like the stars, if you look at this card, it's like the stars are going to align and you are going to meet your person. How exciting, right? Let's get another one here. Ooh, Knight of Cups. Yeah, someone's coming to offer you their cup of love. So I feel like some of y'all are really going to be booed up. Relationships going to take it to the next level. Someone who you never thought would approach you may come forth and express an interest. Again, with the presence of Uranus, you may be feeling very impulsive. So I feel like some of y'all may be feeling like you just want to get out there and offer your cup of love to someone that you feel may be your soulmate or whatever. But I feel like ultimately this full moon may be positive for you guys. So keep that in mind when this full moon occurs. All right, next up, we've got Sagittarius. Sagittarius, this full moon in Taurus is happening in your 6th house of work and health. So like I said before, the full moon is opposite the sun. We've got the moon in Taurus, the full moon in Taurus, and we've got the sun in Scorpio. And this is playing out between your 6th house of work and health and your 12th house of solitude, rest, and sleep. I feel like for some of you, you guys have been overworking yourselves and you need to find balance between work and rest. And I feel like there may be some sort of circumstance that happens around the time of the full moon that really points this out to you. And it may be very surprising. Maybe you may have a situation that forces you to rest, that makes you stop working and forces you to rest. And being that you guys are so diligent and so steadfast when it comes to working, this may be particularly shocking or surprising for you. But as with anything in life, moderation is key. And all work and no play, or all work and no rest does nobody well. So that being the case, keep an eye out for whatever may happen around the time of this full moon, and just know that if something is preventing you from working, if something is forcing you to rest, it's ultimately for your good. Because if you don't find that balance for yourself, Spirit will most definitely find it for you. So keep that in mind when this full moon occurs on October 31st. So let's get into the tarot and see what message Spirit has for you for this full moon. Yeah, regeneration. Y'all really need to rest. I feel like some of you are experiencing burnout actually, and the rest is going to give you a recharge, a regeneration, so that when you come back to work, you will be refreshed. You will be reborn in a sense. You'll be able to work better and have the stamina in order to work those long hours and keep working consistently. But yeah, I'm feeling like some of you really need to rest, really. Let's get one more card here. We've got the 6 of Pentacles, and the 6 of Pentacles is all about balance. It's about give and take. You guys have been giving work-wise and not taking enough rest. It's time to put the scales of balance. It's time to balance the scales, and it's time to find, like I said, suitable middle ground for work and rest. Like, this is of utmost importance to you guys, Sagittarius. And again, if you don't do it, there's going to be a very surprising situation that's going to make you do it. So keep that in mind with this full moon. Moving right along, we have Capricorn. Capricorn, this full moon in Taurus is happening in your 5th house of self-expression, romance, entertainment, fun, and children. So Capricorn, you guys are the goat of the zodiac, right? You guys are all about setting goals, achieving them, getting to the top, advancement. Like, that's the essence of Capricorn. And I feel like something is going to happen around the time of this full moon that's going to be shocking and surprising, but that's going to make you sort of take a break. And rather than focus on all of those Capricornian type things, I feel like you are going to be forced to have some fun, have some romance, be lighthearted, stop being so serious and uptight. I feel like this is going to be jarring for you because, again, you guys are all about your money, you're all about status, you're all about getting to the top. But again, all work and no play makes Jane a dull girl. So that being the case, whatever happens, let it happen. Have some fun. Focus on putting some real effort, real tangible effort into romance, perhaps, into just having lighthearted energy, like energy of a child, having fun, going out, enjoying yourself. I feel like that's how this full moon is going to play out for you guys. So let's get into the tarot and see what messages Spirit has for you, Capricorn. To the sea. Okay, I feel like this is also going to have you guys sort of move away from the crowd in a sense as well. I feel like you guys are just going to find your own path and find your own sort of enjoyment. I'm not going to say it's a time of isolation, but I feel like some of you are just going to step away for a little bit, which isn't a bad thing at all. Especially if we're talking about having fun. Like, you don't always have to have other people around to have fun. I feel like you guys tend to be a somewhat, I wouldn't say social sign, but I feel like Capricorn, a lot of times you guys are always sort of, actually, I feel like this kind of describes you guys. You're kind of always set apart is what I'm hearing. Yeah, you guys are set apart, and I think that's what is happening right now. Let's get another card out here. Okay, we've got 10 of Swords. All right, so I feel like whatever happens, it might be a little surprising in the sense that it breaks your heart in a sense, or that it has you feeling betrayed. The 5th house is opposite the 11th house, and the 11th house is all about friends. And it's about friendship, it's about goals. Some of you may have experienced or will experience under this full moon an issue with a friend. Someone that you call a friend, maybe even an acquaintance, someone who, is a member of the same group that you're in. They may do something to betray you, stab you in the back, and that's what may be surprising with this full moon. And that's what sort of sets you apart. Whatever this thing is, or it could be you that does some underhanded thing to someone or does something to hurt a friend, and now you two are sort of separated. That may be how this plays out under this full moon. I think it's all for the best, though. I see this legal. Some of you, it may escalate into a legal situation, or you may already be involved in a legal situation with this person that may once have been a friend. But I also feel like this is all happening in order to balance the scales. Something in your friendship, in your camaraderie was not balanced. And I feel like whatever shocking that happens that sets you apart from this person is ultimately for your good, because it's balancing the scales and making things right, if that makes any sense. All right, next up we've got Aquarius. So Aquarius, this full moon in Taurus is happening in your 4th house of home and domestic affairs. So just like Leo, this full moon is playing out between your private life and your public life. The full moon itself is happening in your house of home and domestic affairs. So there may be something shocking, something out of the ordinary, something surprising that happens at home, whether it's at your physical home, whether it's at a property that you own, or whether it's between you and a close family member or someone that you live with. And this may affect your work life, your public life, whatever you do for work. But regardless, I feel like there may be some emotions running high at home. There may be some sort of emotional turmoil or some sort of external event that causes emotions to run high between you and your close family members. Although it could also be very surprising, but in a good way. So maybe there's an addition to the family. Maybe someone is born around the time of the full moon. You know that a lot of babies are born under the full moon. Something about the ebb and flow, it causes a lot of babies to be born around that time. I know I'm a full moon baby, so I can attest to that. But you may have a new addition. Someone may suddenly give birth. I mean, it's expected, but it may, be early or what have you. So it really could be a pleasant surprise at home. It could also maybe be a not so pleasant surprise, but just know that that's how the full moon is going to play out for you. So let's get into the tarot and see what message Spirit has for you for this full moon. This is for Aquarius. To the sea. This reminds me of what I was just saying about the water. Like, this is like the amniotic fluid. This really could be a baby arriving. Yeah, this really could be a baby arriving. But let's get another card and see if I'm right. We've also got death. All right, so unfortunately for some of you, I still think this might have to do with a baby though, because this is the sign of Scorpio, and a baby born around this time would be a Scorpio. And if you notice this card, it looks like sperm, like all over the place. So I do feel like for some of you, this is the birth of a child. Maybe in the family. It might not be your own child, but it may be like a brother or sister, a niece or nephew. You get the idea. Although for some of you, I feel like you may also lose a member of your family. I don't get this for a lot of you, but there may be a sudden death within the family. If that is the case, I offer my sincerest condolences to you and your family members during this difficult time. But regardless of what happens, it's going to be a little shocking, but it's nothing that you can't handle, Aquarius. All right, and last but certainly not least, we've got Pisces. So Pisces, this full moon in Taurus is playing out in your third house of communication and ideas. So I feel like communication is going to be big around this full moon, and I feel like you may get some sort of message or maybe some sort of flash of insight that may be important and surprising. Particularly if we're talking about communications, you might get communications from a sibling or someone within your immediate vicinity that may be very surprising. For others of you, it may have to do with someone that's at a very long distance from you or overseas. But regardless of how it plays out, there's some sort of communication that you're going to get, or maybe some sort of communication that you're going to give that may be shocking and that may uncover something that may have been hidden for a long time. For others of you, full moons also show you the culmination of things that you've been working on. So think back to April during the Taurus new moon, and perhaps there were seeds that you planted around that time. There may have been intentions that you set that you've been working on since then that are finally going to come to a culmination, and you're going to start seeing results. Perhaps on an idea that you had. Maybe you had an idea that you were working on. Maybe it was a course you were working on. Maybe it was a community project you were working on. Regardless, you may see that come to a culmination around the time of this full moon. So that being the case, let's get into the tarot and see what messages Spirit has for you for this full moon in Taurus. Ooh, orphaned. All right, so this is feeling abandoned. This is feeling sad and alone. Something has changed that has made you feel this way, or you've changed something that's made someone else feel this way. This may be the emotions that may arise around the time of this full moon. But let's get another card and see exactly what this is. We've got Four of Cups. I feel like for some of you, there may have been an idea or something you wanted to work on back around the time of the new moon, and you didn't take advantage of it. And I feel like now it's going to come to light, like how well this thing could have done or how far you could have gotten if you had taken advantage of whatever it was back then. And I feel like that's what's gotten you feeling like this, because there was an opportunity that you could have taken a while ago and you didn't. And now this full moon is going to show you that, let's say it was some sort of investment thing, right? Because, you know, Taurus, Scorpio is all about resources. Maybe it was some sort of investment that you could have taken advantage of 6 months ago, and maybe everyone was doing it at the time. And now at the full moon, you're going to see the people in your immediate vicinity. Let's say it's neighbors, let's say it's friends that live close to you, people that are in your immediate circle. You may see them getting bank right now, like that investment paid off for them, they're making money, and you are not, because you didn't take advantage of that 6 months ago. And that's why it has you feeling orphaned. Everyone else's bank account is looking good. Everyone's making money, but you're not. So I feel like that may be how this plays out, Pisces. I'm hoping not, but that's definitely what it's seeming like. But now you know. Now you know that there may be a time for you to get into it or to get into something else. Maybe it's time to take advantage of something else. Whatever it is, I feel like even though you feel like this, it's going to alert you to the fact that there are certain things that maybe you need to start paying attention to, or maybe things that you need to start working on. We've got a new moon in Scorpio happening, I believe, November 15th. So maybe around that time, it's going to be time to start planting new seeds so that 6 months from now, you're not feeling like this again. 6 months from now, you're feeling good. You've got money in the bank, things of that nature. So that's how that full moon is going to play out for you, Pisces. All right, my loves, that has been the full moon in Taurus astro forecast and taroscope for October 31st, 2020. I sincerely hope you were able to get at least one important and relevant message from this video today. If you would like to book a personal tarot reading with me or order an astrology report, those links are in the description box below. Throughout the month of October, and I'm continuing this into November, I'm offering my Messages from Spirit tarot readings for only $20. So take advantage of that. Book a session with me and learn and hear everything that you need to know from Spirit right now. I'll put that link in the description box below so you guys can schedule one of those readings with me as soon as possible. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Divine Feminine Works. Every week I do a series called The Week Ahead, where I do a quick and dirty tarot read as well as a quick and dirty astro forecast for the upcoming week. I also have some really nice content on my Instagram, so follow me there so you don't miss any of that. As always, everything I do is a labor of love and comes straight from the bottom of my heart. If you feel so inclined and would like to tip me by buying me a coffee, that link is in the description box as well. My loves, happy Halloween, happy full moon. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.